All right, we have a fun one here today. Check this out. We have a, how cool is this? So we're going to be servicing this Overdrive, and it's a Fairey slash Superwinch. This is when Superwinch ended up buying out Fairey, and it's the same unit. I mean, it's the same design overall. So this is pretty cool. So we're taking this one out. One of the negative drawbacks about a Fairey Overdrive is the fact that this this, this gear here along this area here does not have a cross hole to um, to lube up the gears inside the dog gear. The dog gear is so here's the overdrive unit, here's your gasket, and then you're going to be swapping out this one here, which is this gear, the output gear that comes out of the out of your transfer case, which is this one here, and you're going to be putting in the dog gear. Obviously, for the dog gear, to remove that, you have to use the special tool. On the Fairys, you have to use the special tool. Now on the Roamer Overdrive, you don't have to use this. You have to use this tool to remove the castle nut, which is this one here. You only use it to remove it, but to put it back on, it comes with this proprietary bolt. I mean, I should say nut that uses a 27 millimeter socket to put it on. So you on the Roamer Overdrive, you omit this and you go with the proprietary nut that they provide you. But it's easier to install because you end up using the 27 millimeter socket, and then you torque it to the proper torque, which I think is 200 pounds of torque. Alright guys, for the little correction here, I got confused about torquing that castle nut to 200 pounds. I got it confused with my Volkswagen Beetle, where the flywheel nut is 225 pounds for the torque. But I wanted to make sure I gave you guys the right information. So per the Superwinch manual, if you go to the last page, over here, here's the instructions on the on that nut. It doesn't show here, but right there. So it's stating that this castle nut is torqued to 100 foot-pounds. So just want to clarify that on the video. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled program. Anyhow, so yes, so this unit, this is actually one of my trucks. I want to be putting it back in. But anyway, you use this tool to remove the castle nut. I made this in the past. I had this one here made by I made it with like pipe, and then I had a spare nut, and I ended up making my own tool. With this one, you have to use an extension. With this one that I made, it was pretty much to fit, and I basically did it with a Dremel tool. So if you need to make one, you can make it out of I ended up welding a socket at the bottom and plug weld it. Did I plug weld it? Yeah. So yeah, when you do these, the whole reason we're doing that is because we're going to be using the Lucas tacky grease. So I use red and tacky from Lucas. They sell it in a tube also, so you can grease all your U-joints and all that. I buy one tube for my greasing gun, and then another tube I just put it in this canister, because I don't think they make this can anymore like this. So I just made a little hole and I use it all the time. But what you want to do is grease this gear here. This is the one that engages to the dog gear, and if this one was already, the grease was already kind of starting to dry out, and you know, this is a bronze gear, so if you don't have the proper greasing in there, it'll wear out, and they're not making this gear anymore. The dog gear is over here. This one here, I don't think it's available anymore. And if you do know where it's available, please drop me a comment. I'd like to get a spare. Yeah, so right now I just ended up cleaning it. I inspected I only cleaned this gear here because I wanted to show you guys how to inspect it. You know, this one is still, it has a little bit of wear, not too much, but it's normal. This is why it's important to do it every, like, some people are saying like 20 to 30,000 miles. So maybe once a year do this, or depending on how much you drive it. Yeah, so the other thing too is that I recommend is that you don't use, whoever did this before, they use RTV. I detest this stuff. I really don't like this stuff, because once, it really never really keeps it. If it moves a little bit, if it gets loosened up a little bit, you can't seal it back up. If you're on the trail and you need to do a repair, you know, it's kind of difficult to do this. I like to use, here it is. I have another video on this, but it's the gasket dressing. This is almost the same consistency as the Hylomar that Land Rover suggests on its the manual, the repair manual. This is, you can buy this anywhere nowadays. Amazon, your local auto supply store is $85,420. They usually have to special order it for you from the O'Reilly's. It'll get there the same day. But yeah, I love this stuff, and it almost goes in at the same consistency as Hylomar. Now, I recommend always to use paper gaskets all the time. This is much better than that RTV stuff. The reason why I don't like RTV stuff, because down here there was a big chunk that came off as soon as I pulled it out. This stuff can get into your holes. Like, you see this gear here has some cross holes for oiling right there. Focus, there we go. See that little hole right there? This stuff can get in there, and it'll plug it up, and then you're really gonna be in a hurt if you go through this gear and it messes it up, because they're not making these gears anymore for the Fairys and the Superwinches. So please do yourself a favor and use one of these and the Hylomar or gasket dressing from PermaShield or Permatex. Then the last thing that I wanted to touch on is that you see here how it says API GL4. The Roamer drives units are suggesting to make sure that you use API GL4 oil because it protects the bronze bushings and bearings and gears. So this is obviously a bronze bushing here. So we are going to make sure that it has API GL4 oil, and don't get the one that says compatible with GL5 and GL4. No, just get straight GL4. This one is full synthetic, so it won't corrode the bushings. So that's very important for longevity on these transfer cases. I recommend that you do not only the overdrive unit, because you got to oil it here. You got to check the fluid, the level here. You drain it through here. This goes like this. This is the bottom, that's the top. So you want to drain it, make sure you put their GL4 and the transfer case as well, because a little bit of oil can go through here. So you want to have the same type of oil on both transfer case and the overdrive unit so that they're compatible. And if you want to put it on your transmission too, because sometimes there's out through the output seal of the transmission, there could be oil seeping through there onto the transfer case and then onto the overdrive unit. So there's a lot of bushings on the Land Rover that are made out of bronze, and so you want to protect those for longevity of your so they don't corrode. So yeah, I'm gonna clean this up, and maybe I'll take a quick little final video before I put it back in to the unit, to the Land Rover, so you guys can see where I greased up this whole thing in here. Okay, see you in a bit. All right, here we are, ready to go. I greased up the bushing inside. I greased up the gears for the dog gears over here, so the teeth, and then I put a little skim right here around the did right on the needle bearing, which is, where did I leave that? So here's a good exploded. No, let's go to the last page where they have that. Here we go. So these are needle bearings here on the dog gear, and here are the teeth. So those teeth engage there, needle bearings right on this inside circle, and then you can't see it here, but the lay shaft that goes from, that comes out of, oh, here it is. Here's the output shaft from the transmission. It engages inside, which is in that center, the smallest hole right there at the end. So that's why you got to put grease around that area here. I've already greased up the transfer case gears and all the teeth on the dog gears and the needle bearings. I greased up everything over there as well, so you can get good coverage. And now I have the, don't worry about this stuff. This stuff stays tacky. You have about 20 to 30 minutes to work with it. I like to leave it a little tacky so you get a little bit of, so you don't squeeze it all out when you tighten it. When it's very runny, it just tends to like get out and ooze out of the assembly, and it doesn't really make a good seal. So you got about 20 to 30 minutes, I think, maybe sometimes more. When it's really hot, then yeah, you gotta keep in mind that you gotta get work a little faster. But when it's a cold weather like January, you're fine. Just take your time and do it right. Clean the housing, give it a little bit to see if we can catch any leaks in the future. So now I'm gonna go ahead and install it in the truck. I can't show you guys because one, it's dark underneath there, and then two, I need both hands to put the unit in. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.